You said it was a magnetic strip. Was it like a credit card or something?
Yeah, it was like a credit card strip, except it was separate. It was just a little flexible little strip.
I see. Let's see who comes on first today. Oh, Mike Wiesner. Welcome back, Scott. We missed you. Dusty Haskins and Matthew McAlilly and Balpus Travels. Howdy, everybody. Yeah, I was just on vacation. That whole COVID thing was just all made up. No, I came down with COVID. It was hardly a vacation. But I'm back.
It was your COVID vacation.
Covacation.
Covacation. Covacation. I went on vacation.
Yeah, Billy's Astro is on. Yeah, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Yeah. It's our 185th episode. Goodness.
Yeah, that's a milestone.
It is. 200 will be the real milestone.
Yeah, right.
We'll get there this year. 200 episodes.
Got to get your. Do you have a?
Billy wants to know if there's going to be a Global Star party tonight. Not tonight. I don't have the energy for it, but I do have it planned for tomorrow, next Tuesday. So, what were you saying?
Do you have your sound effects with the party horn? You know, or the little.
Oh yeah.
You know, the little thing that you blow into it and it goes.
I like this one. This is the one I like. We have to get ones with crickets.
Right. Yeah. Crickets.
There's this one.
That was good.
Something breaking. Yeah.
That's good. That's what. I don't know if you've seen a video.
This is me holding Galileo's objective lens. Oops. Sorry.
That's when you're looking at the original plate when Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto. Damn it.
The discovery plate. Yeah. Let's see. The glass plate proving Einstein's theory of relativity by
right. And the plate when Hubbell discovered the expansion of the universe. Oh, yeah. You're holding on to that.
That's right. Harold Locke's on with us. Glad to have the go-to community back. Me too.
So that's interesting. We're also the go-to place to get help with the PMC-Eight. I never thought of that before.
That's right. It is the go-to place to get help with the PMC-Eight.
I never thought about that before. That's a good.
Yeah,
also.
I'm going to have to add to the web pages of the PMC-Eight, about this show. So I will do that. Terex says that's not the sound of fluorite or FPL53 glass been used. It breaks automatically. Yeah, that stuff's delicate. I think that's part of the reason why they're so expensive too, because when you manufacture and you're polishing those blanks, a lot of them you get too much scratch and dig on them, and then you got to start all over.
Man, so they're real soft.
They're real soft.
They're not
fluorite
not
in particular is also hygroscopic. It absorbs water, so polishing it's a challenge.
So do you have a special low humidity room that you do that work in?
I guess. I
We all know that black things get hot. Just take a look at these two identical cars. They're made out of the same materials, and yet the black one is going to be a lot hotter than the white one. And that is because it is absorbing a lot of those beautiful sun rays. Now, the James Webb Space Telescope has two important sides, a hot side and a cool side. The sun shield blocks the heat from one side, and the mirrors observe on the cool side. It even has a radiator to keep it extra cool, but everything except the mirrors are black on the side that needs to be cool. So I was questioning, why are Webb's radiators coated in this super dark paint? Now, this paint is made by Ball Aerospace, and it's called Ball Infrared Black, or BIRB, and it somehow is vital to regulating Webb's temperature. So the reason temperature control is so important on this telescope is that the telescope observes in the infrared spectrum of light. Now, we may not be able to see infrared light, but we do perceive it as heat. And so to get data without any interference from Webb's instruments, they have to be cooled. I am so ready. To well below 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So Webb's instruments naturally create heat as they work. And so the radiator radiates that heat out of it. I'm gonna take a look and show you around here. I've got a flashlight here that we use for inspections. And if you look at it, the shiny thing over here, and then look how black that is. So why are these radiators black? Well, as it turns out, things that absorb heat also emit heat well. The reason black objects absorb and emit heat well involves a lot of math and a thing called the Stefan-Boltzmann law. But what it comes down to is the fact that they are highly emissive. Emissivity is a measure of how well something radiates heat. And according to physics, an ideal radiator is an ideal absorber. So I left this board outside for about an hour, and the side with the black paint absorbed a lot more solar radiation. And then I went back at night. The black side of the wood is cooler than the side with the white paint. It was acting like a small radiator. So it released its energy from earlier in the day more efficiently than the side with the white paint. The more emissive a material, the more it can transfer heat. And the Ball infrared black paint on Webb's radiators happens to be one of the most emissive substances ever sent to space.
Well, hello, everybody. It's great to be back. I was conversing through chat or talking back to chat for all you guys that have signed on. So thank you so much for coming in. I was out for about 10 days with, I think I had the Omicron version of COVID. And so it was a very mild case, but fatigue, runny nose, tickle in my throat, aches, headaches, those kinds of things. So, but we're back right now and it's great. And
Good to have you back, Scott.
What's that?
Good to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did
It's our
bug you a couple.
180
I did bug you a couple times while you were out.
That's true. Yeah,
So-
people pretty much let me rest, so that was very cool. I still have some fatigue, so we're not going to do a global star party tonight, but I plan to do one next Tuesday night. So that will be our 81st global star party, and it has to do with the fusion process that goes on inside of stars. So that's kind of the theme that we have there. But I was starting to recognize some of the people that are on. Claude Plymate's watching. It's nice to have you watching, Claude. Thank you. Jim's Astro, Beatrice Hines, Norm Hughes, Billy's Astro, Tarek. Who else? Dusty Haskins. Dusty said he watched our very first global star, well, you probably watched the first global star party too. The first OpenGOTO Community program. Very nice. Harold Locke, many other regulars. Billy Astro. Pekka is watching. So we got a nice little audience here. Mike Wiesner.
I'll have to
was
go
the
back
first-
and look at that first episode to see what it was like. I think I still had my COVID beard.
I think we
Remember-
were shooting it on Super 8 film,
Yeah,
so
I think
because scratchy, you can see edit clips and stuff like that in it.
I think I would look like Colonel Sanders at that point with my COVID beard.
You kept changing your beard. You had that
Yeah,
that little thing that you could do. So
right.
zoom in its little disguises. So but anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the OpenGOTO Community Forum, which is on groups.io. If you're looking at one of the social media channels that we have here, like YouTube or Facebook, you'll see that there's a link. If you don't already belong to the OpenGOTO community and you're interested in what we're doing there, it's free to join, of course, and you just click on there and you can get lots of help for people who are doing different kinds of configurations with the PMC-8 system. If you are a programmer and you want to contribute to the ongoing development and you want to drive a GOTO system, you can have at it. What else do we do, Jerry, on that forum?
Well, we have a beginners. So the forum is split up into 5 different subgroups, which I'll go over here in a minute. I'm going to share my screen here in a second.
Mhm.
But I thought about this topic today because over the last couple of months, we've had 50 or 60 people join the forum recently because of all the mounts that we finally got them in stock last year, and
Oh,
people
that's
have been
cool.
buying them up and
Mhm.
joining the forum. So that's a great thing. So
Now, how old is the forum?
it started
this
in May of 2017. So it's a little over 4.5 years. It'll be 5 years in May this year. So that's
Right.
seems like a long time, but to me, it's not that long. Seems like
Eduardo Simone says groups.io has been a mess lately. Wish people would search existing threads before asking questions.
yeah, that brings to another reason I wanted to talk about it today, and I'm going to demonstrate the search tool on the forum for everybody. That's a good thought. So Do you have any other comments, Scott? I'll just go ahead and
Well,
share my
Beatrice
screen.
said she just watched a review on YouTube on the PMC-8 before this show. So
Oh, good.
nice.
Beatrice and I had a session on the Mark Slater Remote Observatory,
Oh, really?
I guess about a
Oh.
month ago, maybe.
Yeah. How did it
And
go?
it went pretty well. It went really well. I think she enjoyed
Mhm.
it.
Excellent. Excellent.
So I'm going to go ahead and share the forum website.
Jim
here.
Norwood says, I see that Jerry put a bookcase in the control room. That's to
That's
hide
right.
all the valuable computers behind him. So.
That's right. It's one of those bookcases that flip around, a secret entrance.
Oh yeah, you pull on a book and it spins.
Right. That's right.
I see.
I just closed it up because there's so much noise in there today. They're doing a lot of different work.
Yeah, I wanted the bookcase from Young Frankenstein, you know,
Yeah,
put in my
right.
room. So.
Mhm. So this
Eduardo
is the
says,
ma-
I get tired of answering the same questions over and over. Yeah.
Well, I get that feeling every once in a while, but then you got to realize there's new customers all the time that are buying the PMC-8 and they don't know, and they may not know where to look or how to find anything. So we have to maintain our, we have to help people, our customers, as new customers and old customers alike, that
Sure.
are old to this, that are not new to the system. So,
Well, let me throw a question at you right now. Pekka's asking it. He says, question might not be in topic, but can I balance a stiff deck axis on the central point of the mount itself if I have the balancing point of the scope marked? I mean, how do I calculate the central gravity point?
So the way to do that is to remove anything that gets put on the mount. You have to remove it, and you can suspend it on a line of some kind of real thick string or something, anything that'll hold up 50 pounds or whatever that is you weigh, right? And then you can, if you can move it back and forth along the tube, you can find out where the balance point is. Okay. And that's the spot that you want to put in the center of the deck axis. So that's a way to balance it external to the mount. If the deck axis drags a little bit and it's not really clear where the balance point is, you can do a really sensitive measurement with that, with the string suspending the everything that you put on the deck axis, and and then determine the center of gravity that way.
Mm-hmm.
For that object that you're suspending. And then that's the spot that you put on the in the center of the puck on the deck axis. So I would actually, what you could really do is, if you've got everything tightened up and configured like you want, you could actually turn it upside down and suspend it by the Vixen dovetail, the dove plate.
Oh, I see.
And that way you can slide it along the dovetail plate, and probably you could try that. I've never done that, but that's an idea.
Well, the
of how
other
to
thing
do
is
it.
too, is that maybe you don't want it exactly balanced. You want to load it so that, you don't have like balance in the deck axis if you're
Right.
auto guiding.
Right. So that deals with the lash. So it's like a pendulum effect. If you got it perfectly balanced, that if you're pointing to zenith, or if the anywhere where your vector of gravity is along the axis of the telescope tube, it could just float on the lash of the deck axis. And and that's always going to be a problem regardless if you're back. So the main rule of thumb is to make it a little bit back heavy, so that when you're pointing off of the vertical axis, that it pushes the gear towards one side of the mesh, right? So that's
Right.
You want the gears to push one side or the other, and then you do that by making it back heavy. So if you're with a perfect mount, that has good mesh with no backlash, then you wouldn't have to do that. But these are inexpensive, high value mounts that you get a lot of performance but you have to deal with these little things, these little
Yeah,
idiosyncrasies
if your
on the
mount
mount.
costs less than 10 grand, then
Yeah.
then you're probably going to be
Right. You're going to be
favoring one
dealing.
side or the other.
Right. Exactly. And so that's something else that you know, we'll get into the website in a minute, but that speaks to people that use what is it? QHY Polemaster
Yeah.
or SharpCap to do a near perfect polar alignment to
Mhm.
where you don't have any declination drift. So there you have the same issue on the RA axis. Well, the RA axis is pushing, but there, if you have no declination drift, okay, that means that if you're guiding on deck, that it would have a tendency to push one way and then correct the other way over the lash section, right? Over that backlash, and which you don't want to happen. So you either want to introduce a little bit of error to where you have declination drift, where you're driving it one way all the time, or if you want a perfect alignment, so your pointing is great, don't guide on deck at all. That's what I would suggest. Don't even guide on deck axis. Just turn it off. Because when you got a perfect polar alignment, the object does not drift in deck. So there's no reason to guide it. So that's a little tip for people that are starting doing auto guiding. So that brings me to the web page, the OpenGOTO Community. I guess you can put this link in the chat for everybody
Sure.
to go there and join up. So you basically, it's real simple to join. You just go to there, and then there's a join button at the top when you go to the page, if you're not already a member. And just fill out the form. You just basically have an email
I've
address,
got it right here. Let me.
And you can get access to everything that's on here. So I wanted to show you the different groups, the subgroups that are on the forum. All right, so so can you see this page? There's the main group. Okay. I guess you can, is that big enough to see?
Yeah,
Main
I
group,
can
and
see
then
it.
you got subgroups. All right. This beta one comes up at first, but that's a group that's only activated during beta testing, which I think we're getting ready to do that here because we've got some major changes to the firmware that we're going to be want people to test pretty soon. And then there's a development, PMC-Eight development, and that's for OpenGOTO community members that want to get in on developing software for the PMC-Eight. And there's a lot of help there for that. We have a group that's called, the subgroup that's called the feature request subgroup. So if there's something new that you want to have that's not on the system right now, you can suggest features. We've got beginning, an IXOS 100 beginner subgroup dedicated for people that are new to GOTO systems that bought the IXOS 100 mount. That's fairly active. We don't have a huge number of people on there. What happens is people have a tendency to join the main and then they don't really know about the subgroups a whole lot. I mean, I do have it in the main page talking about the subgroups, but people always tend to just not join the subgroups. They just rather ask their question on the main group. And then I'll talk about in a minute why we have subgroups. Then then they got mounts. So anything dealing with the mount mechanical stuff, you could post a message there in the PMC-Eight mounts subgroup. We've got a freeform subgroup. So all these other groups besides this PMC-Eight application subgroup is the topic is the PMC-Eight. It has to be related to PMC-Eight. But the PMC-Eight application subgroup allows you to talk about anything that you want. It's unlike the other groups that are restricted to PMC-8 conversations. This application subgroups allows you to talk about other third-party applications that you connect up to the PMC-8. And so advice on ASI Air, advice on, cart to seal or Stellarium. If you're having problems with Stellarium, this is where you would post the question for the group to chime in on and answer for you. So if you have just a general question about how an application works or how you do something that's not related directly to the PMC-8, that's where you would post the message on that PMC-8 application subgroup. Then there's a general syshelp group, which isn't really that active. That's kind of redundant in some respects. But this is specifically if you want to ask a question to configure your system, or specifically how to use the PMC-8, and you can't find it in the user manual or anywhere else. This is where, or any issues that you're having with the system, you would use this general purpose PMC-8 help subgroup. And then the last thing, which has not had any work done on it, we created this on the forum. There's a wiki for the help pages, and we were hoping to get the OpenGOTO community to contribute to the wiki to beef up the documentation that's available to help people. That hasn't been really active. So the wiki submissions is for people that want to submit ideas or adds to the wiki in terms of documentation and things that you found, little tips and tricks. It's kind of like our FAQs that we have on the Explore Scientific website in a way, but there's other things that would be going on it also. But that's been slow to grow. Basically, it's been pretty slow. But maybe we don't advertise it a lot. Maybe if we put in or talk about it more, maybe we'll get some contributions to that. So those are all the subgroups that are on the forum. Of course, the main group is where everybody joins the main group to sign on, and then it's optional for you to join all these other subgroups.
Sure.
So that's why we have the most members on the main group, and you'll get the most response from the main group because of that. That's something that, and that's why people post their questions there, because they know they get the most people. And I can understand that, but a lot of people, the reason we created the subgroups, this is really the key thing. There's quite a few people that only want to see messages from certain areas of the forum, whether it be the main group, which is generally the general conversation group for the forum that's related to PMC-8 products. And some people, I don't want to say it as a bad thing, but some people don't want to see beginner questions. We've had that, so, but we welcome beginner questions on the main forum. I never restrict that. But the reason we created subgroups is so that people would not have to see that if they're not interested in seeing these beginner comments or questions. That's one reason. The other one is, there's a lot of traffic on the main group. So I've seen people leave the forum because they just get inundated with questions or messages all the time on their mail, because they selected to get their messages through the mail system versus going to the website and looking at the forum. So they'll get, you'll get 20 messages a day that come across, and maybe
that could be a bit much,
and maybe 5 or 10 of them are only ones that you're interested in. The rest of them, you have to sit there and look at the title and say, I don't want that. I don't want, and delete them. So that gets to be a little, aggravating for some people. So that's really why we tried to subdivide the forum into these subgroups. Plus, people could subscribe to a specific subgroup, like if they're just want to see what goes on with the mount. So you go to the PMC-8 mount subgroup, you want to see what people are having problems mechanically with the system. and you'll subscribe to that and get that message. So that's kind of why the subgroups are there. I went back and forth. We didn't create the subgroups at the beginning, so it was like 2 years, almost 3 years into the forum before we created the subgroups, I think. And I went back and forth on it for like 6 months. Wasn't sure how useful they would be, if people would actually use them. So I'd like to hear everybody's
Like
comment
you
about
made the right
that.
decision.
Yeah. So you get, we get a wide diversity of customers, so
Sure.
there's always going to be people that agree or disagree with whatever question you ask or whatever thing you want to change. So that's just the way it is. So let me go to the main group. So I got this nice little up at the top. When you click on groups, it'll show you all the groups that you subscribe to. All right. And I've got a bunch of other groups that are on Groups.io that are not related to the PMC-Eight. Let's go back to the main. And it'll come up to the messages, and then you can also select topics here. Okay. So I want to point everybody to if you first get on, let me go to the home screen. If you get on the forum on the browser, this is what you'll see. And up top here is where I talk about, what the group's about. And it's got some different things about it. The nice thing, it provides a good interface for doing stuff. So if you've got messages subscribed via email, you kind of miss out on this functionality. Plus, if you want to search for stuff, you have to get on here and log in to really do a good search for topics, and I'll demonstrate that here in a minute. So the main group has all this information. If you go to topics, you'll go to the messages, and then you can hit topics. There's some topics that are fixed at the top of the list. The first one is where I ask people to please join the different subgroups. All right. Then I've got the terms of service also, which is important for everybody to look over. We typically don't have any problem with people following the terms of service, even if they haven't looked at them. Most people are very civil. We have a really good group of people on the forum. I have to say, there's no flamethrowers or trolls or anything like that to get on that I've seen. We have had, I wouldn't say heated discussions, but a little bit of, aggravation showing, but it's very few and far between. Out of, I think we've got like, how many messages do we have on the forum? I got to get my other thing out of the way here. We've had
Probably more than 100, right?
so there's 1,357 topics just on main, and there's like 11,000 messages. And I think out of the 1,357 topics that we have right now, maybe 3 topics have had to be deleted. I try to keep everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly on, so people can find it. I'll just lock it if I don't want any more discussion in that area. But you'll be able to see the discussions, and I don't delete anything bad. Maybe once or twice is all I've ever done that. I try to keep everything on there so people can see I want to be as transparent as possible on the forum, and that's something. And the moderation is very mild. Again, our customer base, our user base on the forum are very civil. There's no need to be heavy-handed with the moderating the forum. So you can see these topics at the top that are pinned to the top. The other thing we ask new members to do, which is sometimes we have to remind people when they first post, to please set your signature line. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that right now. That's an example of something we'd like new members to do, so that we know what equipment you have and what kind of experience you have, what software. So it gives us a baseline of information. So when you ask a question, we'll say, oh, he's got an Exos 2 mount, or he's got an iXos 100 mount. So we know what the question's about. So the way you do that is you go to your subscription tab, and it's as easy as that. You scroll down a little bit, and there you go. You see the signature block. And each subgroup requires its own signature too. So you can see there's my signature right there. And you can make it anything you want, just so that it's family friendly.
Yeah.
You
remember a long time ago when we used like Unix command language to get our email, people used to put in like all kinds of fairly complicated characters and stuff like that. And
to make drawings and stuff. Yeah, to make diagrams.
Just with normal ASCII text,
Yep. So
it's an art form in itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you can find stuff today on the web pages that do. It's called printer graphics. When you used to print out graphical stuff, remember all the things you could download to print out big long pictures.
Oh yeah,
of different things.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. So that's how you set. You go to your subscription menu item on the left, and that's how you set your stuff. Hold on a minute. I gotta yell at the dogs every once in a while. They hear stuff outside.
Are they behind the bookcase or under the bookcase or?
Yeah, they're. I tried to put them behind the bookcase. They're kind of under. Yeah. So you go to subscription. You set up your stuff, and you get your preferences for things. And that's the first thing that comes up when you join is to fill out your selection for your subscription, but you can always go back to it on the left-hand menu.
So if you opted in to get email, you can opt out, correct?
Yeah, you can change this. Now, I think I got to look at I do have a minimum thing that you have to do. I think I make it mandatory for everybody to receive special messages from the administrator, which is me, and the moderators. So if we have something that we need to absolutely send out to everybody, we'll send it as a special notice.
Right.
But we don't spam people. We send very rarely do we send special messages. It's only when we update things and we want people to know that we've done changes or updates. That's when you get a special message. And so everybody will receive a special notice. So we force that everybody has to at least choose that choice for the email. So that's that. The other thing, that's what we want. So everybody that's new to the form, we want them to fill out their signature and to read the pinned messages that are at the top on the topic list, these things right here. And you'll know they're pinned because it's got this little thumbtack sticky thing on it. So the other thing that you notice, there's a lock. So some of these, and you'll see different messages every once in a while. You'll see that they're locked. That's because they were off topic or some other reason that I wanted to lock the thread.
I see.
And then also you'll see the scales there for justice. That's a moderated topic, and you'll see very few of those. So these sticky ones, I usually let people respond to them, but people usually don't. I mean, there's a few responses like here. You can see how many responses are to that topic up here, these numbers in the oval. That's another feature. And the other thing is you'll see these hashtags. There's a whole series of hashtags that we've created. So if you put that in the subject line when you create a message so if you click on that hashtag, of course, you'll get all the messages that are related to that hashtag, which is kind of cool. So for example, this is a basic way to search things. So if you have something that's related to Explore Stars, for example, see this hashtag over here on the right, Explore Stars, you can click on that.
And
And
everything that's Explore Stars is
everything
listed
that's related to Explore Stars will pop up.
there.
To get a little
Mhm.
granular, if you want anything that was posted that related to Cloudy Nights, for example, this one here, let me click on that. We'll see how many messages are related to Cloudy Nights. So that gives you an idea there. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a quick and dirty way of getting to a topic that's just a general topic related to
Mhm.
that.
Can you pick two or more? Or did you just show that?
I don't think so. So there's a way to create hashtags. If you look at the
Yeah.
hashtag list, you can see how many hashtags there are. All right. And also on the home page, if you scroll down, there's the group information, but below there's the top hashtags that are here. You can see how many messages are related to that hashtag that people have posted. So you get that good feel for that. So
Yeah.
technical is a good one. People can read about that. This is really discussing technical details about different things that may be outside of the range of somebody that's just a novice or a beginner. I mean, they're definitely welcome to read these posts and learn some more about the PMC-Eight. But just keep in mind, when you go to a technical post, that it's going to be talking about some detail about either software configuration or other types of configuration or the way things work. There's some discussion about the way things work, that type of thing. So, and anybody that posts a message can choose any tag that they want. So for example, let me create a new message here. So what you do is you hit new topic right here. You want to create a message. So I'm going to create a test message, okay? And I'm just going to say created during the, misspelled that. During the OpenGOTO broadcast. All right. So now you set a subject. I'm going to say test message. All right. And this is the subject line, but when you hit add tags, okay, you'll hit that and you can see all the different hashtags that are available for that topic. And what will happen is, let's just make a general, I don't know. I'm going to say it's an Explore Scientific hashtag. So anything that I post that's related to our equipment will have an Explore Scientific hashtag. And you see that it added it to the subject line.
Mhm.
So now I'm gonna send that out. Okay. And this as quick as that, it should be here. There it is right there. And you can see the test message and Explore Scientific. And you can see a prefix, a couple of lines of the message at the top, created during the OpenGOTO broadcast, and it shows you who did it. So that's kind of cool. So you don't even have to open the message to get a feel for what it's about by reading the first couple of lines of the message. Okay. That's just a tip also. So are there any questions in the chat about any of this so far? I'm going to get into the details of the search now if there's no questions.
They are in a conversation right now about solar imaging. So,
Okay.
mhm.
All right. So the next thing, I'll just go ahead and let's search for something. So if you're having problems with something, and let's say you're having problems with the alignment or with the auto guiding, okay? So as a first shot, let's just type in alignment. And you can type, let's just put it alignment. All right. Let's just do that and see how many come up.
Like hashtag alignment or just alignment?
Just alignment. Just any word that would show up in a message you can type in here.
Okay.
That's the thing. So any phrase or word you can put in here. So now we got 1,508 messages. Oh, that's too many. Let's go alignment
About 3-star alignment.
Yeah, so let's do 3-star alignment. See if this works. This will be the first. I mean, this is all off the cuff. I don't think I've ever searched for 3-star alignment. Let's see what comes up. Oh, it came up with 313 messages. So you can
There you
see that's pretty good, right? So
Yeah.
now let's say doesn't work. All right, let's see if it'll go that far. Oh, look at that. We got 5. That's pretty granular. So that's pretty normal.
It doesn't say doesn't work. There is one that says doesn't matter. So it looks like it stops after. It's 1, 2, 3.
So that's
4.
Why Michelle just came in the door. That's why they were going off. So I didn't catch what you were saying, Scott.
I was just looking at how many words you typed in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have another?
I don't see
term?
anything that's highlighted. It says 3-star alignment doesn't work.
Yeah, let's go into the message and see. Maybe it's further down in the message.
Oh, could be. Eduardo Simone does have a question. He says, what type of grease do you recommend for the polar axis or deck axis?
For the gear
Do you have
train?
anything that you like to use?
I hear a
Especially for
lot of
cold
people
weather?
talk. Yeah, I hear people talk about the white lithium grease is good.
Yeah, I've had good luck myself with white lithium grease. I know
So-
there's other types of greases though. I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure you can. Now,
super
so
cold.
so the thing you're looking for, the characteristics that the mount has are basically cold weather, right? And hot weather. Okay. And the other thing is that these mounts the gears don't move fast. Not like a normal gear train would move like
Right.
500 RPM or 1000 RPM. This doesn't. This moves, trying to think how many RPM it moves. It's probably like less than 100 for sure. Probably 50 to 100 RPM is the most that the mount will ever move. And that's very sporadic. So the key is that it's really getting a grease that works with the gears moving hardly at all, right? And then maintain their lubrication with that kind of motion. But typically when you're slewing, when you do a session, you slew, that'll redistribute the grease pretty well, I think, between the worm and the wheel. You'll have, several hundred turns on the worm, slewing back and forth across the sky. So that's really when the grease needs to be redistributed. Assuming you don't, that should do the trick for the grease to get it redistributed across the worm and the wheel. I don't know do you have any other experience with that, Scott?
Say that one more time for me.
With the lithium grease, when you slew the gear trains, it redistributes the grease pretty well.
Yeah, when I would go back and re-grease them, I would take the mount apart. That's what I do, and then I clean off the old grease, and then I come back in with. I usually the grease I typically would use would be white lithium, but I've seen combinations of using Teflon grease, and a TF2 type of white lithium, and that seems to do the trick for people that have a lot of cold weather.
Okay. So just to get back to the search tool, I'm going to do polar alignment problems. That's a fairly common issue that people have. So you click on that, and there's 54 messages, and there's one here that's technical, which people may be interested in reading. There's with the iXS 100 and the XS 2 GT. Yeah, there's a wide range of things. So let's do a test here. There's this one called wobbling. Okay, let's see how they spelled it. I'm gonna put wobbling in the search term and see if it finds this thing. So let's do wobbling. Did I get that wrong? Wobbling. Did I put an extra? What the heck? Putting an extra L in. Let's see if it corrects my spelling. Let's see what it does here. Nope. Let's search, see what it comes up with. You may not find anything. Oh, that's because I spelled it wrong. So I'm just going to put wobble. I don't know if it'll find it or not. It's just a test. No. Let's just do wob. I didn't find it. That's interesting. I'm gonna see. I just misspelled it. I was hoping that it would find it. I'm gonna cut and paste that word. That's the other thing. You can sit here and you can you should be able to drag right there the text on the message and hit right click on it and then hit actually you just want to do a control C to copy it. I don't think there's a copy right there. So now let's go up to the top and I'm just going to search for that word the way it's spelled in this Control V. Wobbling. Oh, that's all the messages with that title. So it was just spelled different than what the system thought it should be spelled. So that's the other thing is that the spelling has to be match whatever it is you're looking for. If something's been misspelled, like this term, for example, then you never find it if you're trying to spell it the way the computer thinks you should spell it. So when you spell something that's not in the dictionary, it comes up with this red line underneath it. See that?
Right.
So let's try another one. Give me an example of a problem, just something off the wall. I don't know. Anything, Scott.
Broken connector.
Okay, that's good. Broken connector. So this demonstrates one of the things about the way this search works. It looks for each term as a separate word. It doesn't put them together as a phrase. Okay, so let's try this. I think if you put quotes around the phrase,
yeah,
let's see what that does. It may not find anything. We'll see. See if that, yeah, it didn't find anything. So I'm going to search for a phrase, alignment error. Okay. I'm just going to use singular error. All right. Okay, so that found, so you can see that bolded text is that phrase exactly, alignment error, and it found 19 messages. So that's a trick that you can use, or a feature that you can use with the quotes to search for a multiple word phrase. Let's see, alignment problem. Let's see what that does. I just found one. So let's do another one. Let's say we have a problem with Wi-Fi. Okay, so let's do Wi-Fi connection. And I'm not sure if it's case sensitive or not. We can try that in a minute. So it found 12 with Wi-Fi connections. It's not case sensitive. You can see the case of the text phrase is lowercase, and it also found it with the hyphen in there. So it should come up with the same list with the same 12 items if I just put this as lowercase also, Wi-Fi connections. And it does. Let's see, it's got the same 12 items.
Oh, yeah.
So let's do
So
this.
use the
Let's
search tool.
use the search tool and be as specific as you can get away with. You know, if it doesn't return anything, then just reduce your number of words, especially if you're putting them together. So let's look for installation problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Found one. Why doesn't anything work?
There you go. Anything.
Anything, right? Let's look up this acronym as far as I know. All right, let's just type in AFI AIK. Let's see how many people say that. As far as I know. Oh, there's two.
Not that popular.
Yeah. Oh, there's one other feature before we go I want to show. So
Jim
that's how
says
you
try
search.
firmware upgrade.
Okay, that'll be a major one. There'll be hundreds. Firmware upgrade or update. There's 19 upgrade. Let's see what
So the
update
quote
says.
marks, just make sure it's just using those two search
Tied together.
tied together. Got it.
Right. Let's do update. See what that does. So there's 19 with firmware upgrade as a phrase, and then there's 156 with update, which is slightly different. So that's how you use that. Now, so if you get a message from somebody, all right, and you want to talk to them privately, how do you do it? So let's click on this message. Okay, access to COM port denied error. Okay, and Eduardo Simone sent it. So you want to send him a message. You can click on his name. All right, and then you can email him through the server right here. You can send him a private message right here. So you hit that, and it pops up a window to his email, and you can type it in there and send a message to the member, which is kind of cool. So if you want to ask him about the topic or do anything further with it, you can also see all the messages by that member. What kind of things he's run into specific to his mount. You can see what kind of message he's put out there, which is kind of neat. So I think that's pretty much all the main things. We may do another show that gets into other features of the website, but that's the basic stuff for beginners to know about trying to get help on the forum. And of course, you can always post a message.
Yeah, and you can always come on chat on the OpenGOTO community and ask us directly. You can ask us live. So
exactly. So that's it for that.
Yep. All right.
That took up. It always takes up a lot of time when you're trying to explain things. Yeah, you think you could cover the web page, the basic stuff in like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, but if you get into a little explanation, then it takes longer.
That group has been going on since 2017. So there's a lot of information on there. And so
there's 11,000. I think there's like 11,000 messages on the, let me see, let me go to
that's
messages. So 11,106 messages.
Yeah.
On the main. This is just on the main forum. That's a lot of time and effort.
So the use of hashtags in your post, if you're posting some information, very useful.
Yeah.
And use the search tool as much as possible. So.
Right. I guess you couldn't see that. I went back to the page to show to show it, but I wasn't sharing at the time.
Right. Well, chat went focusing on solar astrophotography for a while, and then we got off into the subject of Greece. I did find that astrophysics, they make the astrophysics mounts and stuff, which are beautiful mounts, of course. They like that Luber plate number 105 motor assembly grease, but I do know that, depending on how cold it gets, there are some very exotic greases out there, and some of them are pretty expensive, like a tube, like $100 for, a tube of grease. So
I just thought of something, Scott.
sure.
If you decide that you want to get some idea about grease, and you decide to call a high-end mount manufacturer, with their tolerances are different than the lower end mounts, and they may suggest something that really may not apply directly
that's true.
to our mount, right?
Yep.
So you think this is the best grease, the high-end mounts use it, I can use it on my mount.
I can use
it. May not work out that well.
What I see in general is, over all the years of people, like up in Canada where it's super cold, and the amateur astronomers go out there in like super, super duper cold weather.
They use our mounts at minus 20, minus 10 to minus 20.
That's cold. That is very cold. Typically, I have observed in 0 temperatures before, but not that, not like minus 20 or minus 30. It's just too darn cold for me. But if you have a remote telescope, you might in fact be toasty warm in your living room, and you're controlling your PMC-Eight mount out there. That would be nice scenario, but you may have to go and put in the some grease that will be more suitable. So, and white lithium's good because it works over a huge range. So
right, so that's the thing. If it's cold weather you're trying to guard against, you want a thinner grade of lubrication. If it's hot weather, you want a thicker grade of lubrication in general.
Right. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today again. Thanks. And anything else you want to add, Jerry?
No, I think we covered some good information for beginners, and also had a little discussion about lubrication, which was always good. Right.
Lubo in China says in winter he usually observes at minus 12 centigrade. That's pretty cold. That's pretty cold. Let's see if there's any last messages here. That it always seems like when we close out a show, somebody asks like an incredible question,
Right.
Jim says he missed everybody. We missed you too. So what grease is being used by the manufacturer on the ES mounts? Billy, I couldn't tell you. This would be grease that comes from China, okay, with the exception of the G11 mount. And I'll make a point of asking Scott Losmandy what he likes to use on those mounts. I have noticed that some of the manufacturers, Meat Instruments, where I used to work, we would make combinations of our own greases, so, but it did include white lithium grease with like a graphite type material. So, but it seems from what I can see on Cloudy Nights forum that a combo between a Teflon and a white lithium is the best way to go. And it's probably different combinations that give the best results. So depending on your mount, depending on how cold it is. So
right. So that gives me a thought that goes back to the help on the forum. There are questions that you will have that might be, if you want to reach a much larger audience, go to Cloudy Nights and ask it instead of asking it on the PMC-Eight forum, especially things that are maybe application specific. We do have people that they use a wide range of applications on the forum that can answer questions, but to get the best result for any general purpose questions that aren't maybe necessarily related to the PMC-Eight, go to Cloudy Nights or other astronomy forums that have a much bigger audience or a much bigger user base. That's the last tip I would give people.
Right. Well, until tomorrow, we will we'll leave you here. Again, we're not having a global star party tonight because I'm just going to catch my wind a little bit more. And but we will have a global star party next Tuesday, which I think is February 1st. And and we've got, I'm planning out global star parties out into the future. On February 15th, which happens to be a Tuesday, is Galileo's birthday. So that's a great time to have a global star party.
We've been hitting birthdays pretty well.
What's that? Yeah, I know. I don't know how
birthdays,
I do it.
Different birthdays, over the year.
Yeah, just total random chance.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, again, thanks very much, everyone. Jerry, thank you. Thanks for coming on today. And you guys keep looking up. Okay.